Whoa! Alright guys, so at the end of this video, definitely let me know what you think of the new studio. Hopefully the audio is really good for you guys, but I have no way of knowing until I load it in, push it through Premiere, and find out what the end product is. But we are building a new kind of clean studio, I guess, up in my office. It's going to be great for streaming. It's going to be great for Nerf news. I'm really excited about it. I hope that you guys can get excited about it too. Now, in the meantime, I am standing in front of an incredibly long amount of print hours on Igor, which is what we have decided to name our 3D printer here in Castle Dracula. Anyway, so this is roughly, I think, 40 hours. It's actually more than 40 hours because the rosewood filament was tricky to print with, and this is the monolithic magwell design, and so that is a 23-hour print in and of itself. However, it's ultra just really slick. It's a very clean print. The resolution is really high, especially for a wood filament, and it's a little custom, so that is pretty cool as well. I'm very happy with how that turned out. Some of the fit on these parts is incredible. You can see that this is our top rail, which is actually the captive top rail. It's going to hold part of the Caliburn's hardware in like this, and the goal for this was to make like the nicest Caliburn period. And so we're using some very, very high-end, very expensive filament. If you're familiar with the 3D printing space, I'm not telling you anything new. If you've watched some of my content about my FDL, it should also be familiar, but this is all Filamentum filament. So this is the Filamentum Vertigo Gray, and it is this just lovely metallic color here, and between the flake kind of in it that gives it that glittery shimmer and shine, and the really good consistency and very thin layers in this resolution, it looks almost metallic, so it kind of reminds me of a gunmetal, but more to the point, it almost looks like an injection molded part. On my FDL, it is so clean and so consistent that a lot of people think that the handle is injection molded. These parts all fit together so very smoothly. I'm gonna have to try not to drop them, but they seem to be pretty strong, particularly the rosewood. It's like brittle but strong, if that makes sense. It's really good under strain, but it cracked when I dropped this one. So the priming kind of pusher rod here, this bolt that teases the darts ultimately in, was a little fragile, so I had this in rosewood and I ended up printing it in the gunmetal, which is Vertigo Gray, but I like calling it the gunmetal filament. And so now it's much stronger. I did a couple of quick stress tests downstairs and I'm very happy with that. So all of these different parts, we kind of picked helter-skelter which parts we wanted for our ultra nice Caliburn. Like the monolithic katana magwell, I don't think I've seen anybody do anything with quite yet. I'm not super active in the Caliburn space, however, like this is, I think, the first of its kind, definitely in wood, and we have a hardware kit standing by to stitch all of this together, but it's got the captive nut areas here, and then the spreader up in here is also built in, so it's a very exciting part because it is much, much stronger, much, much sturdier than any of the others. This, again, like the wood filament, is very strong, and it's got this really great feel to it. It almost feels like wood grain. Part of that is the 3D printing lines, but part of that is the filament itself. It's a very different tactile feel. It feels very, very rich almost, and that's what I wanted on my pump grip, so I think that this is going to be very comfortable over an entire day's play. And then, of course, we're using the 2-part buttstock, realistically 3-part, and I couldn't resist sandwiching the rosewood inside of the Vertigo Gray just to kind of get that dichotomy going on. And the fit of these is phenomenal, especially when you consider that they're 2 different filaments printed at 2 different resolutions. The gray is a little bit finer, and then since that rosewood filament, the timber fill is a little pulpy because of the wood in it, it needed a larger nozzle and a slightly higher flow rate to get this level of quality out of it. But I'm very happy with how these parts turned out. We even went with the Lol What kind of handle design there, so it's going to be kind of aggressive in a couple of different ways. We had to leave the Captain Slug logo on here, as well as the katana indicator on the magazine release, mostly because I wanted there to be a clear fusion of all of those things in this, but also because like they're ultra clean. The CS looks great up here in the gunmetal, and then we have my logo down here. But I'm very excited to get this stitched together, which is why I've got to thank my friend Captain Slug for this hardware kit. He ships it like Boy Scout style in Ziploc bags and all rubber banded up, but this is all of the hardware that goes into a Caliburn. I'm sure you can buy most of these independently because it is a very open source project which fits in with the very maker theme of this video. However, it's so much easier to just buy exactly what you need from Slug. And then this is his new clear plunger tube cut to fit. You can see his Etsy link on his card along with his logo, but of course we're going to tuck that into the description box below, as well as one K26 and all of the threaded rods and cut priming bars, as well as the barrel, which has been flared out on both ends. So again, like, I'm really happy to get started on this project. I'm going to do a little bit of YouTube magic now to assemble and stitch it all together, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. But all of these parts are very, very well made, and I feel like they're going to just flush together with no issues. Alrighty guys, so it is done. This is the first of the Arcane Caliburns. It was entirely printed downstairs on my 3D printer, whose name is Igor, and it's looking really, really good. There are eventually a couple more things I want to print. I ran out of Vertigo Gray. Now, between finishing this project and filming this segment, we actually got some more Vertigo Gray in from Filamentum, so we should be able to finish up strong, but I wanted to show you guys this. This is just such a really cool looking Caliburn, in my opinion. It's the first of what I'm calling the Arcane Caliburns, which is going to be the ones that are like designed and printed here. There are definitely some design iterations beyond just the logo that we want to do for that line and lineage, and then a couple of tweaks that we want to make mechanically. But overall, just a really, really cool platform. You can see this is a fully 3D printed spring-powered Nerf gun. For those of you that are watching that are like makers and not Nerfers, this is a very popular, very robust platform. We've been using spring-powered full-length blasters for a long time. This happens to take the new Jet katana mags out of Singapore. They're half-length magazines for half-length darts, so they shoot things that don't necessarily look like Nerf darts. They look a little bit smaller, but it hits hard, which is really, really cool. Now, there are also accuracy attachments on my other Caliburn, which eventually is going to get completely refurbed for my patrons on Patreon, but I will probably be making or moving or printing a scar barrel for this, but overall just really happy with how it turned out. It's a very cool blaster. It's hitting about 230 FPS. Its accuracy is ridiculous, so power and range and accuracy all combined. The only thing that it really lacks is rate of fire. The reliability of the platform really benefits from smooth primes and like full strokes forward, so if you move too fast you might slip that. The kind of flared magwell here that's built into the monolithic katana magwell is really, really cool, but overall just a completely gorgeous blaster. Like, using a full-length K26 to get that kind of performance. I can't wait to take it to war because it handles very comfortably as well. But the flared magwell is easy for reloads, which I found in the backyard, and then this magazine release is actually very nice. It's got a good gravity drop, but overall just really pleased with the design, super pleased with how clean these prints came out. Again, something about the Vertigo Gray just looks like injection molded parts. I don't know if it's the sparkly element that they add to it, but it always seems to come out really clean, really nice. And then the wood filament just can't be beat. It gives a very unique texture and feel to the blaster, which makes it much different than other Caliburns. I think at this point there's probably close to 500 of these things running around between ones Slug has made and ones people have made for themselves. So this particular combination of parts is weird. This is the LMAO or Lamau hand grip, I guess, the handle, and that's interesting because it's kind of wafered, whereas the other ones are now all one piece for the handle, and so it needed extra springs, but I like that you can see some of the hardware. And then the monolithic katana magwell with my logo added to it, and then everything else is just a combination of the different filamentum colors. But this is kind of like a 1.5 Caliburn, just really good looking. Can't wait to take it to a war, and I hope that you guys enjoyed kind of getting to watch it come together. Again, a huge thank you to Filamentum for providing the filament to make this. Huge thank you to Captain Slug for providing the hardware. And huge thank you to Igor for doing a lot of work downstairs. So if you'd like to find out where to get any of those things, either the printer that I use, the filament that I used, or the hardware that I used, I'll put all three links in the description box down below. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. Like, this is really, really cool that I got to make a video about something completely made in the workshop, in the new studio, and I would love feedback about that as well. So don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you like some of the coolest Nerf modification videos around, as well as war footage, as well as goofy skits, as well as really bad Fortnite play. Much love, Nerf on, Drac out.